our other hosts, Earl and Jake. For this week's podcast, we'll be talking about Desmond Bain getting traded to the Orlando Magic. We'll be talking about KCP going to return, Cole Anthony, and hear me out. As they said it, 4 first-round picks. Could they get 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bain, which is honestly an overpay, but like I said, we'll go into that. We'll talk about Kevin Durant dropping his preferred destination, where Shams is Miami, the Rockets, and San Antonio Spurs that he would commit to long term per himself, that Shams. And then, of course, we'll talk about the NBA Finals, which is tomorrow. Is tied 2-2. We'll give our predictions for that one. And then lastly, we'll just talk about anything else, all things Lakers, or of course anything in the chat that doesn't get mentioned. So yeah, these for you guys. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I mean, life is great. Can't complain. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there in the world. And all my sons in the PlayStation, PSN network, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Earl FC. We're good at FC. We take care of our family. So shout out to all y'all. And for me, it's been a good day, man. Like, it's always fun seeing trades, especially ones you just don't predict's gonna happen. So with that being said, like, trade season's here. Like Allan said, we're gonna talk about that. KD news updates. Yeah, I'm excited to get into it, man. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. I know, like, obviously this is Quest for 18 podcast, but it is the off season, so we are going to be piggybacking on like the rest of the league until like something big Lakers happens. But we're a basketball podcast at heart, so it should be a fun one. Excited to get to it.
Yeah, I agree. Happy Father's Day to everyone, including my. Oh wait, where am I? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, what? Okay. Playback's acting like you guys can't, but never mind. Yeah, happy Father's Day to everyone, including Uncle Earl and Allan, who are senior to me by a few years. But I'm doing good, man. I've been posting on TikTok, which you guys have seen, which has been a ton of fun, like super like meme kind of videos. I just did one this morning. Average white guy reacts to Vince Carter mixtape. So then I just put one out right now that follows that up. That's average white guy reacts to average white guy reacting to Vince Carter mixtape. So I'm getting super meta with it, and I think it's going to be a fun journey. Shout out to Earl and Allan for both doing a great job on TikTok as well. I've seen a lot of both your videos. ACI Media could be a big thing on its own. So good work, Allan. But yeah, the NBA, it's fun. I woke up 10 a.m. probably my time, and I was kind of reminded of – I was just trying to like catch up on sleep, so I woke up late, and I was reminded of how trades can happen in this way where I'm asleep. I remember like during the season, just coincidentally, the day the DFS D'Lo trade happened, I woke up like an hour after the trade, and I was like, damn, I missed it again. And on the West Coast, it's interesting, especially if you're going to sleep in that day. What's up, V7? You can really miss trades. So I was trying to like catch up on it. And also, it's a funny feeling when you first wake up and see a trade because you don't process it. You're like, oh, Bain to Orlando or whatever. And then like a little after waking up, I'm like, wait, 4 first-round picks? 1 and a pick swap and these 2 guys? I'm like, what's happening? Everyone's saying Desmond Bain's a perfect fit for Orlando, and we'll get into that. But I just don't really understand what happens where someone like that can go for 4 picks. The Rui trade being in the morning. I was up for the Rui trade. I was on the East Coast, Allan. So that was when I was at Michigan. So I was walking to class and saw it. I was so happy that day. But yeah, Earl talked about it earlier. The trade market, especially for the Lakers, does that change from this? And I see a lot of people complaining. And Mark is always kind of negative or pessimistic on Twitter. Realistic, but also I would say pessimistic. And he was kind of like, it's got way worse for the Lakers. But yeah, V7 saying it right there too. I don't think it just got worse for the Lakers. I think it got better for the Lakers too. Because if you're going to trade Austin Reeves, if you're going to trade Dalton Connect or someone who actually has value, they should go for more first than you expected. We're not trading Reeves or Connect or Rui for firsts, but it shows you the value of these guys, and by using the first as a way to calculate their value. D7, I think the only right team will trade that much for Austin. Trade that much. I think there are teams that will trade 3 firsts for Austin. So that shows you the value. Yeah, I don't think many would do it for Bane, but if one team does, then it becomes a lot more interesting for these guys. It was a mid trade for both sides. I think it was I don't even know what we'll get into it.
Yeah.
That was kind of the intro.
I got some good thoughts about that.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, let's get into our main topic for this podcast. It's about trades. And of course, there's a rumor trade, but there's also an official trade that's going on. As mentioned, per Shams, is Desmond Bane has been traded to the Orlando Magic for first-round picks. One of those picks being, I believe, the number 16 pick in this year's draft. I think that's obviously a great pick. At least such a good position, especially in this draft class. And for the other 3 first-round picks, I believe from Washington, that's heavily protected, that Washington fans can be safety about. They don't have to worry too much. The Suns, if they do end up being worse, that's a good thing for Memphis. They also got Cole Anthony, who I, at least even from last season, thought was going to be in the hot seat to get traded due to Anthony Black and, of course, Jalen Suggs being emerging point guards for the Orlando Magic. So, at least for you guys, what was your reaction? And obviously, we'll go into later the impact on the Lakers.
Yeah, I think for me, look, right player, right system, right trade, just very, very, very expensive. And I think that's where people are getting confused. Like, for me, does Desmond Bane fit with the Magic? Absolutely. I think he's exactly what they've been missing. For me, I feel like Jalen Suggs, he's a good point guard. Not the best and most consistent shooter, in my opinion. And when you add a guy like Bane, who to me is an underrated playmaker as well, he can score, he can defend, and you need a shot creator at that guard position who can consistently go out there and get buckets. And that's what Desmond Bane does. Like, we see moments where Desmond Bane will absolutely take over a game from the guard position, and the Magic just don't have that type of dog in the locker room yet until this trade happened. So for me, I think it makes sense. And we talked about Cole Anthony on the show before, being a guy who possibly could get moved due to his inconsistencies. And he already got pushed down the depth chart. First, he was a starter for the Magic. Then he went to the bench. Then Anthony Black starts getting more runtime. Anthony Black has kind of an emergent season towards the end of the year, and he looks a lot better. So it's like, do I keep Cole? No, there's no need to keep Cole now, because now everything Cole was doing, Anthony Black can do that as a legit 6-man option off the bench instead of giving those minutes to Cole Anthony this year. So I think the trade makes sense. I just think it's like one of those, like I seen a comment, shout out to TikTok, like they were basically saying like the reason why this trade costs so much is because it's a specialty trade. Like, Bane wasn't a guy who was on the market, but he's a guy that the Magic just wanted. So when you really want somebody, or you really want like a house or something like that that's not on the market, you're going to have to pay overvalued price because they're not necessarily willing to sell. But if the house is valued at $2.5 million, you offer me 3.4, I might just take it just because I can find something in between to make a little bit of profit between. So that's kind of what the Magic, well, that's kind of what the Grizzlies were probably thinking. Hey, I'm getting the 16th pick, like Allan said, in the stack draft class. There's a Sun pick somewhere in there as well. And then the other ones, could they be kind of mid? Sure. But the other two, I feel like make up for the whole package. And I mean, come on, bro. Let's be honest. Four first-round picks for a role player, I'm taking that any day of the week, especially with the Grizzlies. I don't even know what their future looks like before the season ended, but the West is not sweet. Like, the West is very difficult to navigate, and I just don't think Desmond Bane is enough for that team to make it past the hump and make a deep playoff run. So what do? You retool potentially, and we talked about just to add to that as well. It's the same Grizzlies team who were stacking their picks, and we complained about them not using them. So they got even more now to go make a big deal if they want to for a KD, or maybe even, I'll just throw random names out there, maybe even a Giannis if it made sense in the right deal. Like, they have the assets to go do that. So for me, I think Magic side, it makes sense. Did they overpay? Yes. But is it a great fit? Also, yes.
Can you guys hear me? Mikal Bridges went for 5 first, so that makes this way more interesting because, like, the Knicks needed Bridges even less than the Magic need Bane. So it's been now years where the Magic need a shot-creating guard, And I saw people talking like, oh, they needed a point guard. And I didn't know Desmond Bane was viewed as a point guard. I think Jalen Suggs is the point guard. But it's two guys who definitely can handle the ball, but also be shooting guards. So it becomes interesting. Yeah, Suggs will be the point guard. No, I agree. What Earl said, like he said, maybe Desmond Bane it wasn't on the market, and I guess we don't know. Me personally, I think he was on the market, so I don't view that in consideration. Clearly, they would have traded him in a bigger deal. So if they felt like to have a chance at a Giannis type package, Bane is less valuable than 4 first-round picks in that instance, then yeah, it makes a lot of sense to just flop them for the picks. The Grizzlies do not need 4 first-round picks. They don't need to rebuild. I assume they don't want to rebuild. They can retool, but with Ja, with JJJ, I could argue they're one of the teams who's had surprisingly some of the most success the last few years. Not with winning a championship, but just kind of consistently being in the playoffs. And they're young too. So I guess like it tells you they at least hope to make a huge deal, adding 4 first round picks to their artillery, especially with whatever else they got. And then for the Magic, I like that point that Matt and V7 kind of brought up in the chat. Like they haven't even drafted well. And also, why would the Magic need 4 first round picks? Do you need more Anthony Blacks of the world or Jet Howard or whoever on your team? Not really at all. I don't think they're gonna miss those picks, right? Especially when they're trying to contend. What I don't get about this whole league is the delusion of these GMs, because that will probably be the big move of the offseason for Orlando. I think we can all agree. They're not going to trade Franz or Paulo. They don't have more first to trade. They're not going to remove Desmond Bane. Let's say they make a few other small moves. What are you winning, dude? Like, and I think maybe it's the Pacers effect. If we copy the recipe the Pacers just did, we can end up in the NBA Finals and have a chance to go win it. And yes, it is a mid-market team, Matt. Like, I agree. They're not going to sign a crazy free agent. But free agency doesn't matter anymore in the NBA anyways, and we're about to see it. It's a summer that is going to be full of trades that change teams completely. We are already seeing one in the NBA Finals, much less the NBA draft or throughout the rest of the year. But free agency doesn't mean anything anymore. We all know that. Look at the names who are in free agency. They don't matter. Even when they're big names, they're just going to go back to their teams, right? Like LeBron, I forgot who else, Harden, like people like that. So there's not going to be movement in free agency. So, but yeah, V7, when you say they could be the 3rd seed low key, yes, sure, they could be the 3rd seed. But to what avail is any of this if all you can do is add Desmond Bane to your core? What are you going to win? Because you're not going to win an NBA championship. You're not going to beat the Pacers. I don't think you beat the Knicks. I don't think you beat the Celtics when they get healthy. And this is like 2 things going on in the East. Everyone thinks it's wide open, and they see what the Pacers did. And the other thing is the Celtics, who were the reason that maybe it wasn't wide open. Now they're going to be missing Tatum. And everyone's thinking, well, they're not a threat. So the Magic think, why not us? And I kind of get it. But do you really see a world where the Orlando Magic stumble into the NBA Finals next year? No, it doesn't make any sense. And the Pacers doing it is shocking enough, but this is a level above that. I just don't see the world where the Magic get in there. So I respect them for trying. I wish my team would try. But yeah, a lot of these mid-market cities and teams, I don't fully understand how they ever think they're going to make the finals or win it. And you don't have what the Pacers have, if we're being honest. And that's probably the comp they're using. You do not have what the Pacers have, and you're still several pieces away with now no assets to actually be considered a favorite or a contender in the East. Our team, the Lakers, we don't have to worry about things like that because, yes, we're trash a lot of the time, but the Lakers are always, and they always can do something to change the landscape of their team. And maybe we're just lucky we're in a big market. But when you look at NBA history, the Lakers have always been able to do this and get there. The Bulls are extending Billy Donovan, really? By the way, on that topic, if that's like a report that, oh yeah, it's true. On that topic, real quick, I do think Billy Donovan's one of the best coaches in the NBA, and it's really hard to explain. He won 2 titles in a row at Florida. He was basically considered the best college coach in that at that time. In the NBA, he does not have success with the Bulls, but their team is so bad. The ownership is the owners are so bad. The GM is so bad. They refuse to put a competitive team out there. And when they had a decent team with Lonzo, DeRozan, and Levine, they all got injured. He did okay in OKC as well. Yeah, I think Billy Donovan's one of the best coaches in the NBA, and he's just in a terrible situation. If I had to guess, there's personal reasons for staying, right? He doesn't care about winning right now, and he understands they're not going to win, but maybe he just likes living in Chicago. So it's interesting you see a team and a organization that bad with one of the best coaches. And then we saw Billy recently when the Knicks tried to go talk to them, and the Bulls said no, even though they're not a competitive team, because they do know they have one of the best coaches.
Yeah. I think I'll sum things up for at least my side and talk about how Desmond Bain is definitely a game changer for them. I'm not really sure if they're going to be top 3 this year. I think definitely guaranteed top 5. They can very much compete versus Indiana, Cleveland, New York, and of course maybe a couple of other teams. But Orlando's becoming a true destination. Like I said, people talk about Miami being a destination, shout out Katie, which we'll talk about later, but Orlando becoming a destination. They still have the number 25 pick. They can go with the center potentially, or maybe go with a guard to replace maybe Gary Harris if he does get traded or something, if they want to go with a younger, a more defensive team. So I think definitely that's going to be something interesting for Orlando. They're just completing a process in which, like Jake mentioned, Indiana is similar. So I'm excited to see Orlando basketball for next season. For Memphis, I think that's sort of a lot of players. It can kind of put some perspective to that point guard position. We know that Scottie Pippen Jr. has been the backup, but now with Cole Anthony, like where does that put him? Could we see Cole Anthony play some shooting guard? We know, of course, Ja Morant does have some injury issues or at least injury concerns that it makes sense to get Cole Anthony, but I think there's another scenario in which they could trade Cole Anthony to somewhere else and get some acquisitions or get some other players to help build your depth on that roster. So it's gonna be interesting for Memphis. I think they still need a couple more pieces. They have the 16th pick now, which one player I'd recommend for them would be was it Nick Clifford out of Colorado State, 6'6" wing. They kind of compare him to Josh Hart. I think he'd definitely be a great player for them. So overall, it's just a fair deal.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. A little bit away from that topic, it always is hilarious to see like the fake reporters when we talk about all of this time of year, and like the fake reports on Twitter that people really buy into too. And I'm not talking about 6-man Jake where it's all fun and games and clearly a troll. I'm talking about the people who do act like they're super serious. Like there's this new guy who's emerged. Some of you guys in the chat have probably seen him. It's like Ari Report, ARY_report. This dude thinks he's serious about everything. And if you look at the reports, it's hilarious. He goes like this morning, Desmond Bain is indeed headed to Orlando, league source confirms. And he gets all these likes and comments. This dude tweeted that 2 minutes after Shams broke the news. And then he said 1 minute after Mark Stein broke that Billy Donovan extension a few minutes ago, 1 minute after, he goes, the Bulls are finalizing a contract extension with Billy Donovan, league sources say. Like, dude, you just read it. You got the Stein notification, typed it out, and people are believing it. And it shows you how dumb people are. But this guy talks about Kevin Durant a lot. He just kind of just says whatever. Every year there's people like this, and I find it so funny.
Yeah. And I'll just add to like what both of you guys were saying. Like, First, I'll go back to the Magic trade. For me personally, I think it's huge. I think it's a bigger than what people are making it out to seem. Like for me, this was a genius move. We talk about particularly what Jake said about the picks. Like the Magic don't need picks, so why not use those picks to go get a 26-year-old player who's in their prime, who can shoot the three ball. I was looking at the stats. He's shooting this year. He shot 39% from three, 19.2 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5.3 assists. Like that's a huge upgrade. KCP this year, 8.7, 34% from three. Cole Anthony was averaging 9.4, three rebounds, 2.9 assists. And I was like, okay, what's that compared to Anthony Black, right? Anthony Black was putting up 9.4 points, 2.9 rebounds, and 3.1 assists. So literally almost the same exact numbers. Anthony Black is shooting like 1 or 2% less from three. But I'm assuming with a little bit better training this offseason, hopefully that those numbers go up a lot. So for me, I think it's just an overall upgrade. They just betted everything now. And it makes sense. Like watching that Celtics series, I feel like a lot of those games, they were 3 or 2 away from closing out games, from not going on culture. There was times on the floor where nobody could hit shots. If I have Desmond Bane, we've seen the Grizzlies where they can't hit shots, and Desmond Bane just takes over and scores like 5 to 10 points in a 3-4 minute window. Like that's the type of player that they need. Now, I'm not out here saying like, oh, this guarantees them a chance to go to the NBA Finals. There's a lot of talented teams in the East, especially teams we haven't seen retool yet. Like it's the first pretty much deal of the offseason. I'm sure there'll be a lot more. But I do think this makes them a way better team, in my opinion. Now, if I was the Magic, I don't know what other assets they have. I would probably try to move a Gary Harris and a Jonathan Isaac and go get another big. I don't see a world where you compete for a championship with Wendell Carter as your starting center. Like I love Gogo. Like if he ends up being like the second string center and then you get another center in the trade, I think the Magic are in a way better place. But Paolo Banchero, like I'll credit their front office too. Like every single year, this team has taken steps of being better. Like their development has been good. Have they drafted great recently? No. But Franz was a great pick. He started rookie year putting up 15 points a game, and then last year he was putting up 24. That's a major improvement. Paolo Banchero in 3 years went from 20 to 26 points per game. Every year he's increased his rebounding. His assists went down a little bit this year, obviously, because Franz is having a great offensive year as well. So for me, I feel like the Magic, they're just missing a shot creator, and I think Desmond Bane provides that. Like there was a lot of games this playoffs. I'm like, okay, dang. If you have like a Bane, insert Bane in some of these games, they probably win it. Maybe they have a better chance versus Celtics, because I feel like overall, Celtics had a lot of gaps and lapse of moments in those games where, okay, if we had a better shooter in those situations, who's to say the Magic didn't advance? Like there was a lot of close games. I know people forget because of the blowouts and stuff like that. I understand, but I don't know. I just feel like this makes them a way better team. Did they deplete their assets? Yes. Was it for Desmond Bane? Also, yes. But I will say I think they're a way better team than what people are making them out to be. That was the biggest thing I was looking for them. And like people in the comment section, talking about who's the point guard. It's Jalen Suggs, bro. Jalen Suggs will be the point guard for that team. Like you can, in an ideal world, you can run a Suggs and ideal world. That's almost a perfect fit, like a Suggs and Desmond Bane duo. Like both can play defense at a high level, both can score. So I love it.
Earl, what did they pick Suggs over Scotty Barnes? I'm 90% sure. Does anyone remember that?
Did they really?
Yeah, they chose.
Yeah, they did. So
Yeah,
that was interesting. I mean, Suggs is really good. That was probably a bad pick again. But
See, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Look, they had two good picks, and then they're like, let's just not do it anymore.
I think Paolo is a really good pick. And you would almost never say that about the first pick. Mm-hmm. But in a weaker draft, the whole conversation, Allan probably remembers, the whole conversation was Jabari Smith Jr. is going to go number 1 to the Magic, right? And everyone's like, well, that doesn't like feel great. Like no one felt great about it. And they're like, there's no clear number 1. It's a weaker draft. Like the Zachary Risache situation. But you went and switched the projected order. Chet was I think it was that year. So what you did was you took Paulo, who was supposed to go 3 to the Rockets, and just decided to pick him 1. Well, he's the only established, I wouldn't say superstar, but star that came out of that deal, where Jabari Smith is averaging 9-7 points per game. Good player, really good player, but it didn't really work out as like if he was a number 1 pick. And then Chet, with his injuries, he missed the whole first year. He's missed other time. It's really not as safe as Paulo. So I think they have had some really good draft moments too, is my point.
Yeah.
But again, very interesting with any trade that it can just happen during the NBA Finals. And a lot of people don't know that that's something that can happen while the season goes. I would say we're officially now seeing this trade in the new league year, while at the same time, the finals indicates we're still in that season. And I know we'll talk about the finals. Do you guys think there's going to be another trade during the finals? Or do you think we have to wait till the NBA draft, which is in 10 days now?
Yeah. There will be a trade in the next 72 hours. I'm going to go ahead and get you know what? Hot take of the summer. We will have a trade within the next 72 hours. Eastern Standard Time. You know how it is. I'm getting back on my hot takes, man. I used to do these all the time. I was shooting like 85% at one time. I got a little bit cold, but we're back. Who is it going to be? At this point, I don't know, man. I think it could really be anyone. If I think all it takes really, and we talked about this a little bit last year too, like all it takes is for one team to see a deal go through, right? Somebody has to make the floor. Not saying every trade is going to be role players for role players, or some trades may be star players, but some trade has to go through before people are like, okay, we can actually do this. And we hear all the reports about the behind the scenes, and I can't get it out of my head about Shams. Like, Shams is not the type of person like really hype up stuff, but he literally said this is going to be one of the craziest off seasons we've seen in a long time. And if he's saying that, how am I going to doubt the man who broke the Luka trade? And we were all on the phone for like 4 hours after that, basically couldn't sleep at a random time. So if Shams is out there saying like this is going to be a crazy free agency and trade period that we've seen in a long time, I'm believing him. Did I think Desmond Bane was getting traded like that? No. So that just tells me like any player on any team is available. We just don't know.
Yeah, besides like there's 8 players in the NBA who aren't available. And really beyond that, it's like they could be, right?
True.
People talk about, Lakers fans talk about, is AR like, what's it called? Untouchable. Hell no.
Come on,
Hell no. We're looking at Giannis, guys, right? And even him could be traded. It's just up to him because he's in that tier. And Shea and Luka and Victor. And so what I'm saying is, when you said Shams isn't the type of guy to say it's crazy if it's not, you're absolutely right. And I can tell you from talking to him again for like 10 minutes at Summer League last year, he was hyping stuff down to me, and he was right. He told me in early July the Lakers probably weren't going to do anything all offseason from what he was hearing. And he was right. They did not. And in the fall, they signed Christian Coloca to a 2-way deal. And that was it, I think. And we just got to the season. And that was it. And he said, even Tatum is tradable in a way. I agree. Like Wemby is the untouchable one who can't be traded, right? And Wemby's in a different tier than Jokic in that regard. Shea's up there as well. That might not be true in some years. What do you mean true in some years?
You talking about Wemby?
Wemby?
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
In a few years. Yeah, in a few years, but we're just talking about right now. So, to Earl's point, anything could happen. But I also kind of agree with what V7 was saying in the chat of like, I do think it's sort of an anomaly. Like, Earl, you said all it takes is one trade. But why not wait till the NBA draft? I want to stress that. From their perspective, these NBA teams, why do they have to get a deal done at this time? They absolutely don't. And it makes you think like the Magic were kind of rushing it in a way, and the Grizzlies benefited Because if the Magic acted like this is what we're going to do, but we want to wait, what if the Grizzlies only got 3 first instead of 4 and it just happened in August? Most people wouldn't blink an eye, or even July. So I don't understand from their perspective why rush anything. The NBA draft gives you a reason to rush, because if your trade involves a draft pick, we all know what happens. The Lakers traded the 28th pick or whatever it was before the draft, and then it says Lakers have selected Jaden McDaniels. But that's not our decision. That pick is already with whoever it was, Thunder, or got to the Timberwolves at that time. It's their decision. And yes, we're making the pick for them, but it's their pick. So the draft gives you this really nice deadline of some things have to be done before the draft, and that'll change the future of the league with these rookies. Allan said in past years, teams waited till the draft or the day before. Yeah, like Magic wanted Bane badly, right? Because
thirsty.
Why not just wait till the draft? And I guess you felt like you have to do it now. I don't know why. There's no deadlines. There's nothing going on where you would need to do it. So, Allan, my point is, to me, I don't think we see another trade until the draft, and that's okay. A big trade, at least, because the draft is in 10 days. And that gives you a reason that teams have to do something with their pick or not. As far as the Lakers, just to touch on this briefly, the 55th pick, I don't see us using it anymore. And so when people, this is just my opinion, we took a 55th pick last year in Bronny, and that was a very special circumstance, obviously. His dad's on the team, and we had to do it. Why would the Lakers, who want to contend next year, use 55th pick? I don't think it makes sense. But I do think we're going to be drafting in the second round. And again, I've said it a ton of times. Allan said it. We've seen it. We've traded up in the second round 3 times or whatever it is in the Rob Pelinka era. Second round picks are easy to sign and fit in the aprons and all of that, regardless. It doesn't matter if they're 55 or 35. I do think the Lakers will be drafting around 40. But as Lakers fans, do not expect any sort of move like that or minor move until a day before the draft or the draft, because there's no other reason. There's no reason to do it right now.
Yeah.
On that day, convince a GM who isn't sure, like the Nets. They have 4 firsts. So when it gets to the second round and they've picked 36 or 37, whatever it is, they're not going to need that. So on that day or the day before, get that and pay them cash. And that's how you get up there.
Yeah. I agree, man. And shout out to Allan, literally like the draft expert, as I call him, Draft Allan. Always has the mocks, always has the best sleeper picks. And last year's podcast, Allan basically, we found out about Derek Lively, and then he happened to get picked right before. I know Kobe Buffkin as well was a choice for us, and Atlanta took him. But yeah, I agree. I think Lakers have a history of trading up in the second round. I think it only made sense, like Jake said last year, to draft at 55 because it was Bronny. Ideally, you want to draft Bronny just for, give him the chance to be drafted like his dad. Honestly, that's what it is. And we always have really, well, I won't say always. We have a track record of being really decent in the buyout market as well after the draft. So I can realistically see us trading up into the 30-plus range and getting a quality player, because this is a quality draft. I know some people did pull out, like we talked about last episode, and that does affect the stock a little bit. But with every one person dropping out, that's opportunity for somebody else that we maybe overlooked, and for things to adjust a little bit more. But yeah, I agree. I think for us, I'm still going to stand on it, though, bro. I think another trade happens in 72 hours. I don't know. I'm just having that Earl feeling. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be big. I don't know, but I just have a feeling there will be another trade. This trade will break the NBA part 75 loading.
Wait, I have another question for both of you guys, because the one obvious big name to be traded really soon is Kevin Durant. Do you think the KD trade gets done by the draft, which in 10 days?
Yes, it will be before the draft or the day of the draft, not after.
Yeah, I also have the day of the draft as well. It's gonna be breaking news out there.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense. Like, there's no okay. Personally, whatever team is trading, um, to get KD, I'm assuming they're gonna give a pick from this draft, and
Agreed.
ideally, you want to kind of know who you're getting. Like, if you're trading into that range or what is a certain team because of that pick, you already have your eyes on a guy, and you want him to get the experience and know, hey, you're going to this team. Like, I feel like it's a little bit awkward when you do draft, like when you do trades after the draft, like days after, and it involves like a top rookie. I think it's just like kind of not weird, but I think it's I don't want to say not as professional, but like usually when you do a draft, you want to be like, hey, this is the team who drafted you. You put on our hat, like that type of vibe. If you know.
No, but Earl, they want to make the pick too. So when I look
True,
at
yeah.
when I look at a KD trade, you're not getting a haul of first round picks or something like that, but you're probably getting one in this draft. The Spurs pick at 14 has been mentioned, not pick 2. That's too much for KD right now at his age, but pick 14 was mentioned, and the Rockets have a pick as well, and the Timberwolves have something as well. So for you guys in the chat, and appreciate you guys all responding, everyone said yes. V7 said, I think it happens draft day. But why would the Suns want to do it draft day when they want a little more time to decide who they're going to pick at pick 14? Which is a hard range to pick at. It's a good spot, but it's hard. Because how do you know who's going to be there? Last year, Dalton Connect was there. Jared McCain fell down a little bit. Khalil Ware was around there. How do you know who you're going to get at 14? The Suns haven't done proper research on that because they don't have the pick. So like Andrew said, I think it's done in the next 5 days. And I agree because they need a few days to figure out who they're going to take. The Suns to start their rebuild, or you can call it retool. They don't want to do that on draft day and just pick anyone at 14. No, that's a big part of the KD trade. So you want to know who you're going to pick to start that rebuild, at least for now, around Booker.
And I'll kind of add to that as well. Like, I agree with you, but I'll even go out and say, I think if you're already shopping KD and okay, we know the teams now, basically. These are his preferred destinations. So I'm assuming if you already know that now, then you know which range you're going to draft in at this point. So for me, I think they already kind of have their draft board and they're trying to evaluate like whoever in this situation. I don't know because I don't know all the picks. I kind of forget the order out of the teams that he said he would likely love to be traded to, whatever. They're probably looking at, hey, we can probably get this guy this range, this guy this range, this guy this range, and then evaluating the actual draft pick from this year compared to what other compensation they're going to get from the team, of course, like players, maybe a future pick or something back as well, and seeing which package makes the most sense. And I kind of do agree. Like, you do ideally want to, you got to know a range. Like, that's just the truth. You don't always get a Rob Pelinka handout, where you get a, oh dang, why did I forget his name? I'm sorry. You don't always get a Dalton Connect handed to you in a late pick where you don't have to really think about your decisions like we did the year before when we took Jalen Hood-Schifino over a lot of other talented guys who should have been on this team. No disrespect. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like the Suns probably already have an idea of who they want to draft, though.
I disagree. How do you, and this is just healthy basketball conversation. Totally get your points. And on the Dalton Connect thing, I've said from the start, I give Rob Pelinka zero credit for that pick.
For sure.
And it's still a great rookie that we got. Mm-hmm. But what did he do? He just saw a guy who could have gone, again, Dalton Connect was mocked at like 6 to the Hornets or whatever it was, wherever they took Tijan Salon or whatever for a while. So Rob Pelinka didn't do anything. But my point with you that I'm disagreeing on, and I want to look up I need to look up the order again so I can refresh my memory. How do they know who they want to pick in your mind when Houston has 10, the Spurs have 14, and the Timberwolves have 17?
Yeah.
How do they know? Like, why would they have zeroed in on one guy that they want to pick when they don't know where they're going to be picking?
No, for sure. That was my point too. Like, my point is this, like, when you look at the picks, it's obviously tiered. My point was like, you kind of know the 3 teams that are probably going to be a trade destination for Kevin Durant. So at that point, it's like, okay, if I have these 3 offers, I'm looking at it from the value standpoint of this draft. Okay, if there's a guy I really want in the 10 range, and I get maybe less back of a role player back for Kevin Durant that I don't necessarily love, but the guy at 10 is someone I really need for the future, maybe you go with that pick. Or you got a range where you're at like probably like what you said, like 17. Okay, I'm getting 17th pick, but I'm getting a role player that I absolutely love who can play for this team for the future. And it's a better overall situation than the earlier draft pick. So my perspective is,
you assume if they're smart, they have a draft board, as V said,
yeah,
and saying
for sure.
in the chat anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. We're saying the same thing. I was just saying, like, I just feel like, long story short, I feel like they probably have like 3 or 4 different ideas of what they want to do. And I'm sure they have different ranges of players in those different packages that they would want to take, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I just don't know how maybe I'm putting too much focus on the draft, because what I'm saying is I view it as a huge decision that the Suns will have to make in the draft. Because even though that pick isn't number 1 or whatever, this is how I view them starting the next chapter after Kevin Durant. They can't get off of Bradley Beal, but it's essentially still a new era in that sense, right? And so you don't know what's going to happen in the draft, but I do think people would like to have a plan, even with the random picks. Again, I'll use the Lakers example. When the Timberwolves got our pick at 28 or 29, whatever it was, Jaden McDaniels genuinely helped them turn their franchise around, especially surrounding Ant. So it's not really a minor decision, even if it's a lower pick. And, but yeah, I mean, you're kind of right too. They also probably have a way they rank it. But I look at the draft board. Do you know what pick the Suns have? All they have is 29.
Yeah.
So in that range, their thought process, their logic, they are thinking about, I'm trying to think of some names that make sense here, like Ben Seraph or maybe Danny Woolfalls or Cedric Coward or Walter Clayton, probably even more like vets kind of from the college space. So I think that is very different than if you're picking at 10. And that's kind of why I'm putting a lot of emphasis on you want to know what you have so you can formulate a plan. And to me, that plan should require days of thinking. But someone else said this, like Andrew, I think, said this in the chat. I don't even trust them anyway. And it's a different situation. Like, I think that front office is bullshit, to be honest. I think the owner and everything he's said and done has been bullshit. And I don't trust them at all to make a good pick regardless. So maybe they don't care.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that perspective. I thought you were saying you wanted it on draft day, but you're saying you wanted before, right? The trade before, right? Oh, you're muted. But yeah. No, you're good. Good. Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying before. I thought you were saying you were preferred to be on draft day, so you know who's available on the board. But you're saying you would rather them have days ahead, get the deal done, so you can start brainstorming who you want to take. So yeah, I kind of agree with that point. My bad, I was kind of misinterpreting what you were saying. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's probably going to be a trade or two before draft happens. I would say in the next, likely, okay. I think a trade happens in the next 72 hours. I don't know who's going to be. And then there's probably going to be a lot of trades on draft night. Like the way Shams is talking, we might have a lot of pauses between the draft to see kind of what's happening.
Yeah, well, I think Jake fixed that up, at least for you, Earl. When it comes to trade destinations, as mentioned, is the San Antonio Spurs, Houston Rockets, and also the Miami Heat. If you had to rank the 3 options from best to worst, what would be your ranking?
Houston Rockets, Miami Heat, and the Spurs. Okay. Obviously, best Spurs. I think we can all kind of agree with that. Victor and Kevin Durant is an absolutely filthy combination, especially because, like, just imagine, like, we see what Wemby does already with his confidence level, but imagine the day-to-day with having Kevin Durant and Victor Wembanyama training together, studying together, like, on trips together. Like, that type of knowledge and really creates, like, an infinite – I don't even know how to describe it. Like, his bag will be infinite, basically. He already does like these crazy step back threes, logo threes. Like, imagine Kevin Durant training with him pretty much every day. Like, it's game breaking to me. And of course, you still have D Fox, KD, and Victor as your big three. That's absolutely insane. 2 for me is probably the Rockets. Depending on what you have to give up, as long as you still have a core of Amin and Şengün, I think adding KD to that would be absolutely insane. Amin is really my favorite young defender in the NBA. Him and his brother, what they would be able to do in year 2, like the strides they take, the athleticism they have, is scary. And both of those guys, I swear, they are a consistent shooting coach away from being like top 20 low key, like in 3 seasons. If they can shoot above 37% from 3, that's over. Like both of them, that's over. 3-level scores easily, plus top defenders in the league. So that, and then obviously last for me is Heat. I don't know. I just don't. KD, Bam, and Tyler Hero doesn't scare me. Like it doesn't. It's not like, oh, like that's a crazy trio. If that's what they keep around, it just doesn't intimidate me. If that makes sense.
No, for sure, Earl. I'm with you. Brandon, fix your app. It sucks. Nothing works. I got lagged out. But yeah, you were agreeing with what I was saying or you were explaining it well, what I was saying. Back to that thing, the way I like to think about it is, who would we be scared of? We're Lakers fans, right? And we're going into the playoffs. Who do we think can take us? Who do we think can take Luka? And, hopefully we have a better team. I guess we don't really know our exact team either. But who are we worried about? And I think when you look at those options, what I think is being like disregarded, and I don't really understand why, is like what's going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves, because that makes them someone who could take the Thunder. You take the same Minnesota team who just played the Thunder and you add Kevin Durant. You're not subtracting that much because Julius Randle's contract, which I believe would be in like a sign-in trade, is already large. And if you lose Nikhil or someone like that, you can figure that out. So I don't understand really what happened with the Timberwolves. My only thing I've seen is that KD maybe doesn't want to go to the Timberwolves, and I can't understand why. Maybe you don't want to live in that city, but we know he loves Ant, and I guess I'm confused, like, because that team would become the scariest team in the West besides the Thunder. The Spurs, you can't trust, in my opinion. So if I rank them, Minnesota is 1 for me. Number 2 is Houston, because we saw Houston. They went to 7 with the Warriors. I thought they were better than the Warriors, in my personal opinion. I thought the Warriors were super overrated. But at times during that series, that first round series, what we did see is like they can't score in the half court at all. And they needed like a go-to shot creator dash like bucket, for lack of better words. All right, so who's better for that than Kevin Durant? And so when I think of a Rockets team that, I mean, Earl explained it well, but that has all the defense, they have the rebounding, they have talent, and they need a veteran scorer who can just get 25, I think the Rockets make a lot of sense. So they're my number 2 after Minnesota. Then I'll go the Spurs and the Heat. Earl already explained them. I don't need to explain it. Besides, you're saying, similar to Earl, I would like to see him go to the Heat the most. You know why? Because I know we won't have to worry about them at all. But that also tells me that they're last. Not only are they in the East, and I'd like to see stars kind of shift back to the East because it's getting ridiculous in the West, but also they won't do anything with KD. And to me, that's kind of what I hope for, because not scared of competition or anything like that, but you already got a lot of teams that are better than the Lakers. Dash can compete with the Lakers. So as a Laker fan, I'd rather not add a team in the West that you have to deal with versus him going East. And that is, with all due respect for me to Kevin Durant, as still an elite basketball player, even though he's older. So the Heat are last.
Yeah. I got for me, number 1, I got the Spurs. 2, I would have the Rockets, and 3 would be the Miami Heat. Between those 3, it's just like Miami is terrible. Like Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and a KD big 3 does not move me. That's one of the worst big 3s in the NBA. That's just terrible. They had no assets. They have a couple picks, maybe players, maybe Andrew Wiggins get you traded away to Phoenix, this and that, but it'd be a terrible trade if Minnesota were to be added. I would definitely agree with Jake. They would be number one, and yeah, it's gonna be funny when Katie gets traded, and we're gonna have a lot of narratives. We're gonna have a lot of takes and this and that. But yeah, Katie is just a weird player. Like I said, his social media takes and everything going on. So it's just a weird scenario.
Allan, he's so good, but last point. Can we just talk about this Phoenix era for 1 sec? Like, what were they plotting? What were they doing? And I'll remind everyone, like, obviously we all know this. It comes after a failed Brooklyn era where you had Harden, Kyrie, and KD plus more, and you didn't do anything. And a lot of that was because of injuries. He goes over to Phoenix and does absolutely nothing for what, 2.5 years? So dude, you should have kept McCall Bridges and Cam Johnson. Let's be honest. They should have kept them. And yes, they would have had to add someone else to compete. But the new owner at the time, Matt Ishbia trading for KD, again, another misunderstanding of how the NBA works. And then you add the Beal thing on top of that. And obviously, that was one of the worst trades in history. So I don't really understand what was going on. And the Beal trade, I think it was Chris Paul too, right? Right to the Wizards. Okay. Yeah. So, and then Chris Paul for Jordan Poole. I wouldn't even hate Chris Paul, KD, and Booker as much as that's better. At that time, a few years ago, I know CP's older now. That's better than Beal, Booker, and KD. So I don't understand what they were doing at all. In that Phoenix era, my point is so disgusting of a failure that won't be talked about a lot, because a lot of times with these mid-market teams, again, to use that word, we let shit go and forget about it. And I think people will forget that team actually should have been competing for championships, but instead they were nowhere close and missed the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Suns, just in general, once they traded for Bradley Beal, it was just unserious. Like I felt like really, it was really with Monty Williams and Ayton got into bad terms and Ayton went it out. I feel like that kind of started the downfall of everything, because then you go and get like bigs who just aren't anywhere as talented as Ayton, even though Ayton was like, I feel like Ayton gets a lot of hate. But I feel like for the most part, he's still a decent center. And he was the best center they've had in the last couple of years, like hands down. So with that being said, it was a fail. I think we can all agree with that. Just a horrible experiment. Trading for that Bradley Beal contract was like a slap in the face to Kevin Durant and that whole era. Well, really just a slap in the face to Suns fans. I won't even say KD, because he failed this team too. But I don't know, man. I guess that's the life of team. Like some people, I just put it like this. Some people, they leave their city and they come home with another championship or two. Other people team hop in hopes to do what the first person did. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, it's LeBron James to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, KD's career in terms of like winning rings is an absolute failure. I'm so sorry. And I really do like him. I think he's funny, even online and on Twitter. And also he's, one of the best players we've ever seen realistically, just individually. But in terms of winning, like to see the horrible way people discuss LeBron, and I know he's in the GOAT debate, but when you take a look at KD's career, it's like, dude, you literally never won anything except for when you went to the Warriors and had the best team of all time. They would have killed the Bulls with their play style and everything. They were the best team of all time. And yeah, you won 2 there, but then even after that, like paving your own path, you did nothing. And so I don't really understand his career. It's one of the strangest careers for a superstar, if you really think about it.
Yeah, we just got a quick question from PlayoffKaden. He asks, He saw someone say Reeves for Triple J, aka Jared Jackson Jr. What y'all think about that? I know was it Bill Simmons talked about Rui Hachimura, a 2032 first round pick for Triple J. What are your thoughts on that scenario? These predictions.
I'm doing that Rui one in a heartbeat. No hesitation, no extra thought process. Rui one, I'm doing it. Yeah. Reeves one, I don't know. I feel like maybe there's a world where you can get somebody else with a Reeves deal. I don't know what the Reeves market looks like, but that Rui one, it doesn't take a lot of thought in my mind to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I also I'm a big fan of Bill Simmons. Like, he was obviously trolling just because of like the Luka trade. He was basically acting like it was just a filler salary and 1 first for Luka. And then so some Laker fans like got mad because they were like, well, you're forgetting about AD or whatever. So I know it was a joke. The Reeves thing, I'm not doing that either. And Jaren Jackson has problems that we as Laker fans would complain about so much. Why would you trade for a big who you're now going to complain about all the time and say he's not a good fit and want him traded? Which to me, like Jaren coming to the Lakers, it's just another semi-star player for Lakers fans to actually not want and to put in deals at the deadline. So I'm not doing a deal like that, especially with the Bane deal, because now we see Reeves' value. But until I see Jaren and Ja traded, I also don't think the Grizzlies are trying to trade their star players by any means. They just knew that they weren't going to win with Bane, and they knew they can get that many picks to help them get someone else. So I don't view them as a rebuilding team at all. Retooling is a word I would use, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously, Bill was trolling that about that whole situation. That's why I said I would do Rui in a heart, because if you think about like that, I would be 100% okay with that. Like trading off Rui, Jaren Jackson Jr. can shoot the 3 ball, just like Rui can shoot the 3 ball, but he plays defense. I won't say he's the best rebounder in the world, but ideally, if you get him for Rui, you can work around the margins. Let's be honest. But I agree.
Yeah. And now moving forward, talk about NBA Finals predictions. It is now 2-2. We're heading back to Oklahoma. Who you guys got for Game 5?
I guess I'll go Game 5. I'm going to say OKC. I also got Indiana in Game 6. So I do have it going 7. I'm going to give OKC the benefit of doubt at home. The Pacers have done more shocking things than just win on the road in like a Game 5. So it's very possible they win. I'm actually really happy as a non-fan of either team that the Thunder tied it 2-2 because we are very close to 3-1. And I think it would have killed the momentum of this finals. Quick shout out to the finals too, Allan. This is one of the best finals in years. I don't understand what people are saying. I was so bored during Celtics Mavs, which that should have been like the best finals in a while if the Mavs could compete, right? And it could go 6 or 7 games, Luka hooping, Kyrie, all that. But it wasn't. And then in 23 again, the Heat Nuggets was so boring. I mean, maybe the worst finals of all time. And I think this finals to me is the best since Bucks Suns, which is actually a very good finals and it's aged very well. But I love the nature of this finals. Again, I forgot when we talked about this. Maybe it was last week. We clowned on the NBA. This is appropriate too for us to say. We clowned on the NBA for the court and not making it feel like the finals and ESPN and all that, right? And what do? For Game 2, they immediately switch it to the trophies plus the script alternating every quarter, which is also bullshit. And then after that, they figured out, okay, let's just put the font and go with it. And it has been much better. So I will say, shout out to the NBA for doing that. But to me, when you're multi-billion-dollar companies like that, ESPN and like the NBA, why did it take you until Game 3 to have a plan for what the finals is going to look like on the broadcast? And I didn't even know it was an option to change things. I thought they weren't gonna because I thought they wouldn't want to admit they made a mistake. Credit to them, they did. but I don't understand like how it takes you 2 or 3 games to figure out how you want to present the biggest event in the NBA, or at least it should be. And, the only other complaint I'd have is you do all this to make the in-season tournament courts look different and the presentation feel different. But you're saying you can't do that for various reasons for the NBA Finals. And that to me makes no sense because you wanted to build on the hype of the in-season tournament. You wanted people to NBA Cup, whatever. You wanted people to get excited, but you're not going to do that for the finals. So there are still things that need to change. And hopefully they make those changes because I think the league has gotten lazy.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the complete opposite of what Jake said. I got the Pacers taking the first game at OKC. I feel like the Pacers down the stretch, their offense got a little bit stagnant. And I think they noticed the stakes. Like this Pacers team has had their back against the wall many times. Like Jake said, like at this point, nobody will be surprised. I think most of our takes really are like OKC to me, clearly talented wise, like they're supposed to be the better team. But this Pacers team, like they just have this fight I haven't seen. And like Jake said, I didn't enjoy the finals last year. I can't remember one single moment from the finals last year. And that's bad. This year, I remember a ton of moments. Last game, I remember SGA having such a quiet first half. In the fourth quarter, he absolutely takes over. His big shot after big shot, bringing the team back. And just like all those moments from that game, we had the Tyrese Halliburton game winner that didn't get a bang call. Like we're gonna be talking about that forever. The gatekeeping of the bang call. Like it's been so many moments that's made this series so special. So for me, I'm going. I want 7 games so bad too, Jake. Like, I feel like if this doesn't go 7, I think it has the potential. This has the potential to already be one of the best finals ever. If it goes 7, I'll stand on it. It will be. Like imagine, like walk with me real quick. Game 7, tie game, because this is realistic. Like we've seen it already in this game, like how close these games get towards the end. Tie game. Either SGA has the ball to end the game or Tyrese Halliburton has the ball to end the game. Imagine a game-winning NBA Finals. Like, who doesn't want that? And I feel like for the first time in a long time, we can probably get that. It's realistic to say. And I think a lot rides on this next game. That's why I'm going with the Pacers. I think they have to win this game. So that way the Oklahoma City Thunder has their back against the wall. They for sure aren't dropping again. And then you go back to the Thunder for a chance for the because it's 1-1 now, like back and forth now, right? I forget, yeah. Then you have the chance for Thunder to defend their home court, which they probably won't lose at home again. And then Pacers get a chance to close it. Or is it opposite? I forget. But
no, it was the opposite. It was it's like Thunder, Pacers, Thunder.
Okay, bet. So Thunder will have the last game, right?
Yeah, they're home court. Yeah.
Okay, bet. Yeah. So yeah, I got. Wait, that kind of changed my mind. I want the Pacers to win the series. So whatever scenario gets the Pacers game 7 at home, or no, it can't. They can't. My fault. Then I would. Okay, I either want a game 7, or I want the Pacers to close at home. So that'd be a tough challenge. Yeah. So either they win out 2 in a row, or game 7 we have a nice showdown.
Yeah, personally. I like that. I mean, always going to root for the game 7, and more basketball is good. I believe game 7 would be like the 21st or 22nd. And, that takes you right into the NBA draft. You don't got to wait too long when the draft is the 25th and the 26th. So, of course, you hope for more basketball because a lot of the year there is great basketball, and people forget that. The NBA season is very long, and then you got the draft. Then you got Summer League pretty shortly after the draft. And then you get into the dead time, really, where there's nothing until we start hearing about training camp late August. We're going to have that dead time. So, maybe there's trades and other stuff, but there's no actual games. So as long as this one can go, always going to root for that, especially if my team isn't even in the finals. But yeah, it's been a really, really fun finals and entertaining. I'm not going to let people complain about this series.
I'm sticking with my prediction. Pacers in 6. We're going to close it out. I'm here. Reggie Miller this is for you from Tyrese Halliburton. I might just imagine that moment right there. Or I don't know, Indiana, this is for you. So yeah. So overall, I got Pacers in 6. Plain so.
Honestly, I'm rocking with that, bro. Like, I just think, I don't know, bro. Oh man, it's like I don't dislike the Thunder. Don't get me wrong, but man, like imagine I just think it would be cooler if the Pacers won. Like I think that's fair to say. I just think it would be cool. Like Reggie, like I just love. We talked about like storylines. I think the biggest storyline here is Reggie Miller and the Pacers, man. Like he obviously didn't get a chance to win that ring back in the day. Tyrese Halliburton is doing on the run, same coach, miracle shots, like did the choke out in this finals run. Like it just makes sense, bro. Like it just, I don't know, story wise, it's just such a much cooler story to me personally.
Yeah, I want the Pacers to win too, as an unbiased fan. I mean, either way, again, I think it's a really good finals, but I think the Pacers do instantly become the what if of this scenario if they lose. Because if they lose with all these moments they've had every round, it'll be like, damn, they were right there. Especially now that we know it's going 6 or 7 games in the finals, too. So if they lose, I would say it's kind of one of the craziest what ifs in NBA history about that team because they've come this far already. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, again, either way, great finals and good to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, at least I'll go to a quick draft minute for these fellas, Jake and Earl. Feel free to come up with any final questions or hot takes before doing the podcast. As mentioned, thank everybody who joined in chat and everybody who's at least watching us and giving your takes and everything going on. Feel free to drop any questions as well. And yeah, we have a couple workouts that did occur for the Lakers.
But do we have any info that's legit, Allan? Like, how do we know what's legit? Like, where's... Oh, you're saying like a mock draft. I thought you were talking about like the workout.
Oh, no, for workouts.
For workouts, okay.
Yeah. So one of the workouts that is planned per Vincent Waldrum, who is a Auburn reporter / a writer and also content creator, and also he also does like Kentucky / SEC stuff, and he very much like does interviews like with a couple players. Like most of his interviews have been with Dylan Cardwell, so I imagine he's some like trusted source. He's announced his other workouts for other teams, but yeah. Dylan Cardwell is one of the players who is planned to work out within the next couple of weeks or days for the Lakers, and I'm a big fan of him. I definitely would love him at 55. His switchability is very good. I'd sort of compare it to like Al Horford in a sense. Like Al Horford, we've seen has that switchability, even though he's an older veteran. He still can switch versus guards and play a good defensive level at them. He's mostly a lob threat, at least from his season. If you check the 2024-2025 tape, that's mostly his time playing that two-man game with Jonathan Brown. But if you check out his 2022-2024 tape / highlights, he had an expanded game. He had a couple post ups, this and that. Great passer, putbacks, alley-oops, tips. Very much a good hustle guy / good motor and energy. One thing he's very good at is shot blocking as well. Like when a guard does try to beat him off the dribble, he contests and does not get called for fouls. So that's a great thing when it comes to defensive centers who can switch and are put in a predicament or say bad situation. I'd sort of compare him. These role wise would be Dwight Howard when he was on the Lakers. I think that's definitely be the ideal role for Dylan Cardwell, being that lob threat. It has to switch here and this and that, and just like be a good third option, but can be a backup center. I think just based on how he's looking the tape / highlights. So yeah. And then also next guy, RJ Felton. I kind of posted his highlights as well on the Quest 18 podcast, TikTok. So check that out. Good guard, 6'4". I was very surprised to see 6.4 rebounds in his last season. Before that, I believe he averaged around like 4 to 5 rebounds. So that's very good. I think he's a two-way player, sort of a guy who can create his own shot, attack the rim, athletic, and I would kind of like him if he were to be a undrafted prospect or be a 2A, he'd be my ideal starting point guard next to Bronny James in the summer league. Now, could he be on the Lakers roster? I don't know about that. But when it comes to summer league, he'd be a highlight. Like, he'd be a fan favorite. I think he has great energy and definitely a guy that would fit well with Bronny James in a backcourt scenario.
Yeah, I'm excited for summer league. I mean, for me, Allan, again, I think we're gonna have pick 36. It's possible 38. And for me, I'm just gonna look in that range for now. And I think it's gonna be a center. And I think the people in play are like Maxime Reynaud. If he doesn't get drafted, he's a little higher on some of them from senior from Stanford. And then I'm also looking at Hansen Yang still. And then Yannick Conan Nidenhauser, who you put me on. That dude's a beast. I'd like to see him if we get in that range. And then another one is like Roko Zakarski somewhere in the second, still makes a lot of sense. And then Amari Williams, again, he'll probably be more around our current pick. I still really like that. I just don't want. And so what? We have one more podcast before. So, hey, we're going to have a better idea next week when we talk. I don't want Vlad Golden at all. And someone brought that up on Twitter, but as a Michigan fan who watched him, he's like a good college center, kind of, but he still had flaws. He makes no sense on the Lakers, in my opinion. So that would be the one. And he's almost 7'2". He's like 7'1". Senior from Michigan, Vlad Golden. I do not want him. So hopefully we avoid that.
Yeah, honestly, as long as we get a center on this team, a young center, preferably 6'11 plus, no 6'9, no 6'10, and who can defend. Like, I think that's a bit defending, I don't know why I said threading. Defending lob threat center is my number one priority going into this draft, easily. And if you can get a wing, obviously wings are probably the most valuable players you can draft. In the NBA right now, we see what those contracts go for. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, you can use, for example, Herb Jones. I'm missing some guys, of course. But yeah, wings are the hardest position to find at value except for the draft. So those are two positions I just need. So that's what I'm kind of thinking of.
But yeah, before we do end the pod, guys, have your final hot takes, topics, or anything going on?
Yeah, hot take. Someone hits a game winner next game. Don't know if it's Pacers, don't know if it's OKC, but I'm going game winner, battle out in OKC. Tight game, no blowouts.
I think we'll wait for Jake for a bit. His app sort of crashing, I think. Yeah, I think I'll plug the socials as always. Quest 18 Pod on all social platforms: X, TikTok, YouTube. We dropped a latest video for me and Jake. Was it? It's called. It's titled "Should the Lakers trade Austin Reeves for a 2025 first round pick?" We talked about like Austin Reeves' value, like where could he be? For Jake says number 4, I said number 19. Hey, Desmond got traded for number 16. Hey, let's see where Austin Reeves would go potentially at least for a first round trade. So yeah, check out that video. And yeah, you guys, any plugs? Playoff sports, of course, your personal TikToks or social medias.
No, not for now. I got kicked out again though. Fix this app, Playback. Come on. I got kicked out. I'm on my phone now. But no, good podcast, guys. Appreciate you guys. Excited for the next one. And then after that, we got the NBA draft and a fun time. I've always had a ton of fun. I know Allan would agree, and Earl too, probably. But, talking about Allan because of the draft, I've always had a ton of fun with the draft, the undrafted signings, filling out the Summer League roster, and seeing what that's going to look like. And then, early July before the Las Vegas Summer League, you got the California Classic that we're always in. I'm sure it'll be happening again. So I'm looking forward to this time of year for sure. But yeah, good podcast. Appreciate you guys.
Yep, I agree. Great podcast. Always a pleasure talking basketball with my boys, especially Lakers ball. Hopefully, we have some crazy news to break down. Who knows what type of trades can happen next week? In the last podcast before the NBA draft, I'll add that too.
Yeah, 100%. And as mentioned, I believe it'll be a live stream for tomorrow. Was it like 5 o'clock, 5:30? Hosted by Mark. I know was it V7 and also Mal drops by as well. And yeah, check out that live stream. Pacers versus Thunder. Gonna be a great game as always. Great series. We'll definitely talk about if we go in full detail. If this is the best NBA Finals in the past couple of years, we're gonna rank them. But that's gonna be a different topic for another time. As always, have a great rest of your day, everybody, and let's go Lakers. Let's go Pacers.